welcome to another sketchbook tour. This is a sketchbook filled mostly with imaginative sketches and using different materials, so let's take a look. First we have a portrait of one of my vampire characters from The Sims. I used watercolors and color pencils, and I was testing the papers, but as you can see it's not made for wet media. I used it anyway throughout the sketchbook. Here I was planning the King of Clovers illustration, and this is the design I chose. For the final illustration I redrew it on mixed media paper and painted him with egg tempera paints. I'll put it on the screen. This is a random night. I wanted to sketch an armor or outfit inspired by vegetation. It's done with watercolors, and the glittery part is also watercolors. They are metallic watercolors. Here I wanted to do an outfit inspired by the night sky and stars, and I used the metallic watercolors again, as you can see. Here I was planning another card illustration, this time the King of Hearts. I'll include the final illustration on the screen. It's done with egg tempera on mixed media paper, but the sketch is just watercolor and ink. Another night, I colored him with watercolors and ink for the black lines, but I used color pencils on his face instead. I was trying to see if I could do some more details with the dry media. Here I was planning the Cardinal's Guards outfits from the Three Musketeers book. Since I am illustrating the book, I used my sketchbook to come up with the ideas for the Cardinal's Guards, and I chose this one on the end. The Three Musketeers is a historical fiction novel, but since I like to draw fantasy, I am illustrating it in a fantasy way. I'm not trying to achieve historical costumes here. A random night sketch. I like to use the flags for composition sometimes. Actually, I've drawn these types of sketches many times. It's fun. I was planning the King of Diamonds here. I will add the final on the screen. And I use egg tempera on mixed media paper for the final illustration. A new night with that kind of flag, playing with the metallic watercolors again. I don't know if you can see it. Yep, there it is. This is a superhero I came up with. She's like a raccoon, keeping the streets of Toronto safe. Toronto. Here she is on a tree with a real raccoon. And this little thumbnail, I turned it into an ink illustration. I scanned it and colored it digitally. This is a sketch of John Marston from that Rockstar Cowboy video game, which I always find hard to pronounce. I used watercolor and color pencils. I really like this sketch. I think color pencils and watercolors give a nice soft feeling. I like that I could add definition with the color pencils instead of having to do it with the ink. This is another random night. I just didn't finish it. I guess I lost interest. Another unfinished sketch. This time he's more of an elven warrior. This is a sketch I did of Lucky Luke. I used watercolor and color pencils as well. Lucky Luke is a comic, but I went with a realistic depiction. I used the actor that played Lucky Luke in the movie as reference. His name is Jean Dujardin. This is an unfinished sketch. John Marston again. I redrew this as an illustration and I painted him with watercolors. A random night character using watercolors and color pencil. Here I was planning the next king, the King of Spades. I didn't finish the sketch like the other ones though, but I like the little thumbnail. He looks more cadaveric there. And here's the final with egg tempera like the other ones. Over here I was planning a Harry Potter illustration. It's another book I'm illustrating at the moment. This is supposed to be Ron's house, and this scene is from the second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Here's the final so you can compare between the thumbnail and the finished one. And over here is just a portrait of a knight. Some empty pages. A sort of elven prince sketch. I used watercolor and ballpoint pen. Another night portrait, but I don't like how this one turned out. He just seems a bit lazily drawn. This is a pirate. I used watercolor and ink. And for the face I used color pencils. You can tell maybe the paper is not good for ink either. It's a bit porous, so sometimes the lines bleed. And I don't want to risk that happening on her face, which is why I used color pencils there. A ballpoint pen sketch. This is a character from the Dynasty Warriors game. This is my Gryffindor character on the Hogwarts Legacy video game. Here I drew Celebrimbor from the Shadow of Mordor video game, just sketching with watercolors and ballpoint pen. Here we have a random knight. I just don't like how it turned out. I was trying to draw Anatar from the Lord of the Rings of Power TV show. This is my Caribbean vampire sim again, Goyo. I drew another pirate character here. I colored her with markers. I decided to just use the markers for the definition. I didn't use any inked lines. I like the end result. I think it gives a cool look. This is Anatar again from the Lord of the Rings of Power. I like the character, I just find him very hard to draw. Here we have Celebrimbor again. Over here I was planning a new Lord of the Rings illustration. I'll put it on the screen later, actually. I defined these sketches on another page. And this is one of my mermaid sims at the time. I colored her with markers and I added some watercolors on the scales. Another sim character from my previous sim family. They are the Sims family I lost because my gaming laptop died. Rest in peace, little Sims. A knight sketch. I wanted an armor with a sort of dragon feel to it. And I was also playing with some glittery watercolors. I was swatching the browns of markers I had here. And I decided to turn them into pieces of wood just because. Another knight with a flag, using the metallic watercolors again. They're pretty watercolors. And here I was trying to draw Anatar again, from the Rings of Power. This is my Slytherin character from the Hogwarts Legacy game. I like to draw mermaids that are more sea creatures sometimes. I used gouache because I wanted to test how it would interact with the paper. These are some gouache and ballpoint pen sketches, just practicing drawing landscapes. More landscapes, some houses. I always prefer to draw characters and usually I do landscapes on my travel art journals, but I should practice drawing some of them from imagination as well. Here's one of the previous thumbnails. I just redrew them bigger as sketches. I colored her with gouache, just because. The final illustration for my Lord of the Rings set was painted with tempera on mixed media paper. And here's the other thumbnail as a sketch. I didn't color this one since I chose the previous one for the illustration. Another landscape sketch using gouache and ballpoint pen. A princess portrait. I used gouache and ink again. Over here I was planning another iconic Sims illustration. I have a painting set of iconic Sims characters. So this is an illustration I planned of one of the mermaid Sims from the island living world. And here's how the final turned out. I used tempera on watercolor paper. And when I say iconic, I just mean they are the Sims that come with the expansion pack, like created by EA Games, I guess. Like the standard Sims families that are in the world. This is a witch. I wanted to ink the character and paint the background as a galaxy, while leaving the interior of the hat to have the same pattern. It doesn't come across as a galaxy, but I still like how it looks, with only the interior of her hat in the same pattern as the background. This is the design I came up with for the Queen of Clovers. And here's the finished painting using tempera. This time I decided to add the logos digitally. It looks more clean, so the next ones will also have the logo done in digital, whenever I get to them. a dead saint-ish skeleton. I wanted to paint this Catholic skeleton for the Toussaint holiday, but I didn't get to it. In the sketch and in my mind, it looks good. I just have to put in the work to make it happen. In this page, I was planning a new Harry Potter book illustration. This is the scene where Harry and Ron go to Hogwarts in the bewitched car. Here's the final look. And over here we have a Valkyrie. I used markers and a ballpoint pen. I think it was a good idea to combine those two materials. This was a portrait of a random man, but he kind of looks like a vampire to me, so he's now a vampire. I used marker and ballpoint pen too. This was just a study from statue. I was planning another iconic Sims illustration here. This is Bonhilda, the skeleton made from the Paranormal expansion pack. I used gouache and ballpoint pen for this sketch, but I used tempera and watercolor paper for the final one. A very pink mermaid sketch using markers and ink. More gouache and ink landscapes. Here I had the idea to design tarot cards inspired by the Goat Simulator game. So here are some thumbnails for those, but I did proper sketches on the other pages. You'll see. And this is a portrait of a lady with flowers using watercolors and ink. Another witch drawing. I thought she looked cute, but I think the sketch was nicer. I have the process of a lot of these recorded from my short videos, so you can see the initial sketches there. Over on this side, I was planning some more Goat Simulator tarot cards. And this is a random warrior with a snake headgear. Another random sketch using watercolor and ink. Not too happy with this one either. Here I started planning the Goat Simulator tarot cards. I was testing my inks over here, doing swatches. This is the first card, the Fool. It's just I wrote it in French. The final illustration for this one I did it with inks on mixed media paper. More statue anatomy studies. Some hand studies. Always good to practice those. This is the design for the wizard card from the tarot for my Goat Simulator cards. The final is also done with inks but on mixed media paper. A merman. I colored him with watercolor, that way I could achieve the gradient of colors, the blue, blue-green and purple. I inked him with a ballpoint pen, and the dark background is colored with markers. I'm still trying to get rid of all my extra markers. Some dog sketches. Another mermaid, this time using watercolors and ink. Another witch. I think I was using some of the cheap watercolors because it seems to me that the colors are fading. I could swear they looked darker before. I didn't like how this sketch was coming along, so I just abandoned it. This is another celestial night, using the metallic watercolors for the star and moon details. Practicing drawing some horses. Here I was practicing legs, and here I felt like drawing something modern. As you can see, I like magic, mythology, fantasy, but sometimes I feel like I should draw modern stuff. So I drew this lady in a dress with gouache. The metallic details are done with the metallic watercolors. Sketching another modern outfit. And another one. This one I did with markers and ballpoint pen ink. Same with this one. The only thing I don't like about the ballpoint pen is that it's easy to make smudges like this by mistake. This is the design for the High Priestess tarot card, and I did the final with the same inks but on mixed media paper. This is the Emperor card for the Tarot set. It's Bob Angorius, the founder of San Angora, one of the worlds in the Goat Simulator game. And just like the other one, I used inks, and this is the final look. A wizard sketch using markers. This is the priest or the pope or hierophant. Not sure which name is more proper for this tarot card in English. I haven't gotten to illustrating the finals for these ones and the next ones after this one, but I have them all planned out in this sketchbook at least. I went with the hippie yoga teacher for this card. This is the Lover's Tarot card. They look super crazy, but they make sense if you play the game. They're just characters or side quests from the Goat Simulator video games. So this is Miranda the mermaid and her lover from the Goat Simulator MMO. A random sketch using watercolors and ballpoint pen ink. Or is it gouache maybe? Maybe it's gouache instead. Another night sketch. I was trying some new sparkly watercolors. This is the design for the Empress Tarot card. I thought the capybara from the Multiverse of Nonsense would be a good choice for this card. The background is meant to be a galaxy. The Chariot Tarot card design. The capybara again with her crown and her chariot. This is actually in the game, so I thought it would be perfect for the Chariot card. Another night sketch with a flag. I used markers for this one. I left the skin tone the same as the paper and only colored his shadow to make him look really pale. This is another tarot card design, the Justice. It's just Bilgor captured by one of the cops in Goat Troit. The Hermit tarot card is Herman the Hermit, of course. I don't know why, but he's hiding with some hot dogs. Maybe it's an inside joke of the developers. The design for the Wheel of Fortune card. I went with the characters from the Goat Simulator Payday game. A random sketch of a woman. I used markers to color this one. This is the design I came up with for the Strength Tarot card. It's Bilgor fighting one of those bears from the MMO game. For the Hangman Tarot card, I chose to draw the goat with the fireworks in the sky. The Death Tarot card. This one was easy to come up with since there's a whole zombie level. So here she is coming out of her grave. This is a portrait of one of my current Sims. I just used markers for this one. This is the design for the Temperance card. This is a princess. I really like how it came out. I used markers and the new glittery watercolors. You can see here I was initially planning another hairstyle for the sketch, but I'm glad I went with this one instead. With this dress, this hairstyle looks better. The Devil Tarot card. I put the farmer as the devil, controlling the goat and the capybara. Again, it makes sense if you played the Goat Simulator 3 game. The Tower Tarot card. This one was easy too, it's one of the goat towers. A marker and ink sketch. I didn't find my red markers, so I tried to make it work with the pinks. I just wanted to sketch a sort of patchwork Canadian coat. The design for the Star Tarot card. This is from the Waste of Space expansion. The background is meant to be a galaxy. It's just hard to portray. I don't have white ink. Maybe I should get some to do some proper stars in there. Another wizard sketch. It's my character Versailles as a wizard. He's the character I come up with in games when they want you to create a character, but I don't really know who to create. So I always make him and call him Versailles. He's actually my Ravenclaw in Hogwarts Legacy, and also my football player on the FIFA video game. I was also playing with the glittery watercolor again. This is the design for the Moon Tarot card. In one of the games, there's a movie studio with this creepy moon and some flying ducks on a green screen for some reason. I don't get it, but it works for the Moon Tarot card. This is another sketch that I didn't finish because I just didn't like how it was coming along. It's easier to give up sometimes. Same thing for this portrait, but here I was practicing some folds of clothes around the arms. The Sun Tarot card design. This one was easy to come up with too. There's one gigantic sun in the Goofville area on the Multiverse of Nonsense expansion pack. Everyone on that side is cartoonified, so I drew the cartoon version of the goats. The Judgment Tarot card design. I went with the abominable banana, not sure what the name is. It's this angry banana monster, as you can see. And the final tarot card design, the world. Here is a random knight colored with markers. I tried just using markers without the ink lines here as well. I like the look. This is a cowboy in a poncho, or a cowboy wearing a poncho. This is my werewolf sim. I like to include the wolf ears on my werewolf sims, but they don't have those in game. I wish. Anyway, she's a super trashy sim and loves to wear colorful pink clothes, so she's fun to draw. A portrait of a Nunavut woman with her Canadian sled dogs. These are snow glasses to protect against the brightness of the snow. Another knight. This time I wanted to portray a sort of mermaid aesthetic on the armor, hence the mix of colors like corals and aquas. I used the glittery watercolors too. This is a witch sketch. I didn't like this sketch though. I used markers for this one. And the final sketch of the book, a knight in a fighting pose using markers. And that's it for this book. I am overall happy with this one. The paper is not great for watercolors or wet media, but it held enough sketches, so it's good.